So if you don't like the weather in East Tennessee, just wait 5 minutes, it'll change.
Shipshewana.
Shipshewana, or Shipshewana, however you say it. All I'm asking is to hit 100,000 subscribers. That's not too much to ask. What kind of map are you looking at?
Cheese map.
Pretty over. Hey, welcome to another episode of Camp and Camera. Excited to bring you this one today because we're going to show you our 2021 summer road trip. And where did we go?
The Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
And we were very surprised at what we saw. I'd always heard people talk about Michigan, but mostly the city part of it. We didn't realize how remote that portions of Michigan are.
Beautiful.
We had a ball. We drove up through Wisconsin. We drove back down through Indiana, where we went to the Elkhart RV Hall of Fame Museum, and we showed that in the previous episode, so go back and check that out. But before I left, I got a text message from a good friend. He said, hey, I've got family in who happened to roll in a Teardrop camper. And they happen to be subscribers of your channel. So on the way home from work, like one of the last days before we left, I stopped by and met them, and let's show you that. So we are here with David and Janina in a little town called Deer Lodge, Tennessee. And these guys have pulled a little guy camper all the way down from upstate New York.
Yep.
So that, how far of a drive was that?
About 900 miles.
About 900 miles. So they've got some miles on this.
Yeah.
So I've seen a little guy before, but I've seen the one with like the extended tongue, and as I understand, they've done something a little bit different in the galley of this thing. So they're going to take us on a little bit of tour of this camper.
Cool.
Show us around this thing.
So originally with the standard 5-guy, you got the back patio deck, you got pass-through cabinet doors, but this is open right up to the bed. Like you could reach in and tickle the feet. So what we did is we took the pass-through doors off. I put metal up so we can hang magnets of where we've been, what we've been doing.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. And that way we can use more of the wall space. And then here I put a divider wall and and then you put the contact paper in so we can actually have increased storage space down here too.
And now our feet aren't by the cooking area, and we don't have to worry about bugs and crumbs going in where we eat.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so that's
I'm digging the lights on there.
Yeah,
That's
actually
a nice touch.
Nice little solar lights, and we have enough that we can like go along the side for when we're hanging out. The camp.
So those are solar?
Those are actually solar lights.
Look at that.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
David proceeded to give me a tour of the inside of the camper, which was a cozy living space with a queen-size bed. And something of interest, check out the stack of books in the center console.
Can I give a little plug?
Oh yeah?
I'm a romance writer.
Really?
Yep. So
Well, that's cool.
I have a copy for you as a thank you
Really?
for filming us. I'll hold it and bring it inside.
Well, let's go under the porch and do that. So if you don't like the weather in East Tennessee, just wait 5 minutes, it'll change. We got rained out, so we're gonna move to the front porch here. So I found out during the tour that she happens to be
A romance writer.
a romance writer. So let's put a plug in for her book here.
All right, this is my first one.
Your first one.
Yep, $10 and a wish.
Okay.
And the second one just came out in June. It's on digital. It'll be in print in September.
Perfect.
Yep, and I wanted to thank you by giving you a copy of it. If you don't read it, you might know somebody who will.
I will put it to good use, I promise you
There we
that.
go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I got the first copy of this. Be sure to go check it. Where can they buy it?
Amazon, Barnes
Really?
and Noble. Yep.
So go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
And Soulmate Publishing.
And I'll try to put a link in the description below where you can find that. And I'm going to sit the camera down and I'm going to give them a Camp and Camera decal so they can take it back to New York.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So hey, it was a great meeting you guys, and thanks for the tour.
No problem at all. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
That's one of the best things about the tiny camper community is even though we've not, a lot of the folks never met each other like today, we feel like we have a common bond and we have something to go ahead and start talking about. And those were some delightful people, very friendly. It was a blessing to be able to meet them. And again, she gave me a copy of her book. It's the first one she's wrote. I'll put a link to that in the description below. But hey, listen, if you're thinking about building a tiny camper, it's more than the camper. It's the whole lifestyle, it's the community, it's the people you meet. Those are the things that makes the whole experience in your life richer. Get out there and check it out. Our drive really began in the flat farmland of Indiana. What may look boring to some was pretty cool to an East Tennessee boy. It was nice driving over the land for a change instead of beside of it. And these behemoths rose out of the cornfields everywhere we looked. Thanks to the Road Trippers app, we took a detour through one of these cornfields to see a little roadside oddity, or should I say middle of the road oddity. What looked like a chunk of forgotten sidewalk was actually the final resting place of Nancy Curlin Barnett. Like myself, you may be asking, what came first, the grave or the road? A roadside marker tells the story of Nancy and is worth a read if you have a few minutes to spare. So if you need to empty your pockets and have a little time on your hands, stop by and visit Nancy at the grave in the middle of the road. So I'd like to mention the sponsor of today's episode, the OLIGHT Flashlight Company, who happened to send over their Warrior Mini 2 flashlight for testing. Now this is a pocket flashlight. It has a single high-performance LED bulb and a lithium rechargeable battery. Now this thing puts out 1,750 lumens. Yeah, 1,750 in something that small. And it's super convenient in that the battery recharges with a magnetic charging cable. So when I put my stuff on the nightstand at night, it just clips right on. We've had this for about 30 days now, and I'll have to say I'm pretty impressed with it. It feels kind of heavy in the hand. It's a good build quality. So although tiny, it puts out a lot of light. It also puts out a lot of heat. Let's see what the temp gun says. We hit 115 degrees. But not to worry, a sensor on the front of the flashlight automatically dims the bulb if it gets too close to an object. It's got a neoprene lanyard for holding, and it has a two-way pocket clip, so you can either clip it this way or this way, and it's a very springy clip, seems to be pretty durable. This has become our everyday carry flashlight, and so far I'm pretty impressed. So, hey, if you want to pick up your own Warrior Mini 2 or one of the other flashlights that OLIGHT offers, I'll put the links in the description below. And let's get back to today's episode.
If any of you have watched this channel before, you know that Michael's an airplane nut.
Oh, yeah, I love aviation. As a matter of fact, when we got married, we went to the Wright-Patterson Air Force Museum on our honeymoon. And we went back for our first anniversary. I know how to treat a woman. But it took us 25 years, but we finally made it to Oshkosh, Wisconsin for what they call EAA Air Venture. We got there, we parked, we hopped on the bus, and wow, were we surprised what we found. We just got off the bus, and Oshkosh 2021 starts now. Just look at this. So the weather in Oshkosh, Wisconsin is sunny and 90 degrees with a chance of aviation, a 100% chance of aviation. I think it's going to happen. It is hot. I don't know if it's normally this hot for EAA Air Venture, but it's warm today. But blue skies and lots of airplanes.
they had a 800 horsepower engine. That was enough. But to get on board the next carrier.
So I'm pretty stoked to see this airplane. This is actually a scale model of a B-17 bomber. It's called the Bally's bomber, and I've watched the progress of him building it on the internet, and I watched the test flight on the net. It's pretty cool to see this in person. I didn't know it was going to be at Oshkosh, and how fitting to be right in front of the AirVenture sign.
Bally's bomber isn't just a scale model, it's an actual airplane that somebody can fly. It took Jack Bally 40,000 hours, over 17 years to build this beauty, and although Jack has passed on, the bomber lives on.
Of course, I've told you before that I fly radio-controlled airplanes, but I don't know if I've mentioned it before, I'm also a full-scale pilot, so this really bridges the gap between those. It's a scale model like I would build a model airplane, of course a lot bigger than I would build, but it happens to be a real airplane you can fly. What do you think about AirVenture?
It's huge, and it's hot.
This is a vertical takeoff and landing, almost like a drone. 32 motors and propellers on this thing. Wow. All right, so some of you who have watched the channel before know that I drive a Ford F-150 tow vehicle, and there's a reason why I drive Ford. Look at this, Ford's at Oshkosh, son. And I don't know if you can see it, but behind me just took off a Ford tri-motor. How fitting is that?
EAA Air Venture was huge. We'd always heard it was a big show. I don't suppose I really knew exactly how big it would be. And we shot a little video to try to show how big it was. Didn't do it justice.
No, miles of walking.
Yeah. Fortunately, we found some footage online from a gentleman named Mark Baldwin who was kind enough to let us show what he captured during the helicopter ride. As you can see, this thing was huge. There were over 10,000 airplanes and over 600,000 people in attendance. There were dedicated sections for different categories of aircraft, and many folks camped under the wing of their airplane. And speaking of camping, check out this campground. Over 40,000 people camped in 12,000 spots. By far the largest campground I've ever seen. This place was massive. And if you ever think about camping at Oshkosh, be sure to bring some comfortable shoes, because it's over half a mile from the campground to show center. EAA AirVenture is definitely a bucket list destination. So Oshkosh was sunny and it was hot, and I know good and well it probably wasn't Joanne's scene. No shade and loud airplanes everywhere. I had a wonderful time. I think she probably took one for the team. But where did we go after that?
To a cheese factory.
As much as I love airplanes, Joanne loves cheese. So we started our drive around the Great Lakes at a Wisconsin cheese factory.
Who could go to Wisconsin without going to cheese factories?
So what kind of map are you looking at?
Cheese map.
And after a quick glance at the map, we ended up at the Springside Artisan Cheese Factory. That's your first real fresh Wisconsin cheese. How is it?
Excellent.
Really?
Yeah, it really is.
I've always heard of Wisconsin cheese, but I didn't know if it was better or not.
It's a plain cheddar, but it's a little, these are curds, so it's a little saltier. And when you chew it, it squeaks.
Yeah?
Real loud.
It does squeak when you chew it. That's good though. That's an excellent flavor. Wow.
So let me give you a little bit of an update on what we're doing with the refrigerator and our Jackery power unit. Last night when we pulled in, the Jackery had 100% power. It's fully charged, and we had been running the SETPOWER up to that point off the vehicle. But I don't want to drain the vehicle battery overnight, so we plugged it into the to the Jackery, and we ran the fridge for I think for 10 hours. And it says that we still have 86% charge, so it only used 14% of the total 1,000 available watts. And then today we'll charge the Jackery back up off the vehicle as we're going down the road, and then we'll switch back over to running the fridge off the vehicle. So yeah, this is working great. Jackery runs the fridge at night and the car runs it during the day. Couldn't work out better.
Driving around the big pond made us hungry, but fortunately there were several places along the route selling something called pasties. Judging by the apparent age of this place, it should have pasty making down to a science. I've stopped at a place called Leto's Pasties, or Pasties. Probably not pasties or pasties. Not even exactly sure what this is. We've been seeing signs for pasties all over the place.
For hours.
For hours. And this looks like the real deal. I didn't film inside the place, but he had newspapers, you know, articles where his dad made them back all the way back into the 40s. All I know is it's heavy and it's hot and it smells good. It's like potatoes and beef, maybe some onion, and a very, very nice dough. This is very good. All right, nerd, how did the whole pasty thing come to be? Give us a history lesson.
Well, they're originally from England,
From England.
but the reason why they're so popular up here is that I read that the miners would work 12-hour shifts, and they would make these for the miners to eat because it was so hearty and it would keep them going all day.
It was easy to eat.
It was easy to eat.
I'll take pasties for 1,000, please. Since Joanne was kind enough to take one for the team at Oshkosh, I took one for the team at a little place called Frankenmuth. Is it Frankenmuth or Frankenmuth?
I think it's Frankenmuth. Largest Christmas store.
I know you're busy. All I'm asking is to hit 100,000 subscribers. That's not too much to ask.
Without going to the largest Christmas store in the world.
I'll have to say I'm not really a Christmas store guy. Our last stop on our 2021 road trip, in this video anyway, was at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. This was a pretty special place, and I hate to say it, I'd never heard of the place.
Me either.
It was like, what, one week before?
Yeah, one of your friends told you about it.
Yeah, so we looked it up on YouTube, and we said, wow, we've got to go there on our way back through. Yeah, this place was pretty special. This is the car that they shoved President Reagan into whenever he was shot. That's crazy. I actually remember watching that on TV. So this is the actual car. Just think, he was in the back seat, rushed him to the hospital, not knowing what was going to happen. If there's no other reason to drive a Ford vehicle, it's because they made airplanes. What more reason do you need than that? The Henry Ford Museum even has a section with vintage campers. This camper had a very unique past, as it was a personal gift from Henry Ford to the famous aviator Charles Lindbergh. Try picking a hitch like that up on E-trailer. The Henry Ford isn't just a transportation museum. It's a museum of anything that was considered innovative for its time. What video will be complete without a picture of me and Joanne in front of a big wiener? So, the Henry Ford Museum is actually in two parts. There's the indoor museum, which happens to be in a very super old building, which is historic in its own right. And then there's also an outdoor portion.
Mm-hmm. A village.
A village. It's either Greenfield Village or Greenville Village, something like that. But it's like a living history museum.
Yeah.
We didn't do that part because we were short on time. But let me just say, we've been to the Smithsonian in Washington, a few of the Smithsonian institutions. I personally like the Henry Ford better. I think there was a lot of variety and a lot of quality in one spot. There were some things there that were very historic that we didn't show in the video. They actually had the car that Kennedy was in when he was assassinated, and the chair that Abraham Lincoln was in when he was assassinated, just because of the weight of that moment. I didn't want to videotape those things, but being there beside those fixtures and seeing that, it really put it into perspective, you know how big of a deal that was in history. But if you ever get a chance, I would say go to Dearborn, Michigan, and check out the Henry Ford. So that's all for Road Trip 2021. And I hope you enjoyed that. We've got some good things coming on the horizon. So until next time, take care. We'll see you on the road.